At a family dinner, they announced I was the disappointment. For years later, my wealth erased their authority, and I denied reconciliation without explanation. To the family disappointment, may he finally amount to something someday. My father raised his glass with that trademark smirk I'd seen 1,000 times before. Everyone laughed. My mother, my brother Nathan, his wife. Even my grandmother nodded with pursed lips. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I was 23, sitting at their table for what I'd convinced myself would be different this time. It wasn't. The wine glass felt heavy in my hand as I set it down without drinking. I was a junior analyst at a small firm, barely making rent, drowning in student loans they'd refused to help with. Nathan was the golden child, married, stable job at dad's company, house in the suburbs. I was the cautionary tale they trotted out at gatherings. You know what your problem is? Dad continued, emboldened by the laughter. You've never committed to anything real, always chasing these fantasies instead of doing actual work. I work 60 hours a week, I said quietly. At what? Pushing papers. Nathan chimed in. Dad offered you a position 3 times. You're too proud to accept help. The help came with strings. Control. Constant reminders that I owed them. I'd seen what it did to Nathan. Turned him into a carbon copy of our father, regurgitating the same opinions, same cruelty disguised as tough love. I don't think this is the time, I started. Oh, here we go, Mom interrupted. Always so sensitive. We're just being honest, sweetheart. You need to hear the truth. The truth. Their version of it had been my background noise for years. My degree wasn't practical enough. My career choice was beneath our family standards. My refusal to join the family business was disrespectful. Every decision I made was somehow evidence of my fundamental inadequacy. I think I'm going to head out, I said, standing. See? Can't even handle a simple family dinner. Dad shook his head. This is exactly what we're talking about. No backbone. No resilience. I grabbed my coat from the chair. Nathan caught my arm as I passed. Come on, don't be dramatic. You know how Dad is. Just sit down and let go of me. Something in my voice made him release immediately. I walked out of that house with perfect clarity. They could keep their toasts, their judgments, their conditional love that required me to become someone I wasn't. I was done. The next morning, I blocked their numbers. All of them. I didn't send a message explaining why. Didn't write a letter. Just cut the cord cleanly and completely. For 3 weeks, I wondered if any of them would show up at my apartment. No one did. That told me everything I needed to know about how much they actually cared. I threw myself into work with a focus I'd never had before. Something about burning that bridge made everything else sharper, clearer. 6 months later, I met Vincent at a conference. He was 20 years older, ran a small investment firm, and saw something in me that my family never had. You've got instinct, he told me over coffee. Most analysts just regurgitate data. You see patterns. He offered me a position with equity options. I accepted immediately. Vincent became the mentor I'd never had. Someone who pushed me because he believed in my potential, not because he wanted to reshape me into his image. He taught me real estate investment, private equity, how to read markets not just through numbers, but through human behavior. I learned more in 6 months with him than 4 years at my previous job. The equity options matured faster than either of us expected. 18 months in, the firm landed 3 major clients. My stake grew exponentially. By year 3, I'd made my first million. Not through inheritance or handouts. Through 70-hour weeks, calculated risks, and the kind of single-minded determination that comes from having nothing to fall back on. No family safety net. No father's business as backup. Just me and the acute awareness that failure meant proving them right. Vincent retired at the end of year 3, selling me the firm at a fraction of market value. You built this as much as I did, he said. Keep the name if you want, or change it. It's yours. I kept the name. Vincent and Associates had reputation, client trust. By year 4, I'd expanded into commercial real estate. Owned a portfolio worth 8 figures. Lived in a penthouse downtown. Drove a car worth more than my father's annual salary. I didn't flaunt it publicly. Didn't post on social media. Lived quietly, invested wisely, built something sustainable. But in certain circles, my name meant something now. People who mattered in business knew who I was. That's when they found me. I was at a charity gala. One of those black tie events where deals get made over champagne and small talk. I'd just finished a conversation with a potential client when I heard her voice. Oh my God, is that you? I turned. My mother stood 10 feet away in an evening gown, face frozen in shock. My father beside her, equally stunned. Nathan and his wife just behind them. For a moment, nobody moved. For years had changed me. The skinny, uncertain kid who'd left their dinner table was gone. I'd filled out, carried myself differently, wore a custom suit that cost more than the car I'd driven back then. What are you doing here? Mom's voice had that edge, half confused, half accusatory, as if I'd crashed their event. I was invited. I kept my tone neutral. Donated to the foundation. Dad's eyes narrowed, scanning me like he was looking for the punchline. Donated? What? $100. 50,000. The number hung in the air. Nathan's mouth actually opened slightly. That's not possible, Mom said. Where would you get that kind of? Excuse me, sir? A server appeared at my elbow. Mr. Castellano is asking if you have a moment to discuss the harbor project. Castellano. My father's face went pale. He knew that name. Antonio Castellano owned half the commercial real estate in the city. Tell him I'll be right there, I said. The server nodded and left. My family stood in stunned silence. You know Antonio Castellano? Nathan finally managed. We're partners on a development deal. Partners, Dad repeated slowly. There it was. That disbelief. The fundamental inability to reconcile the son they'd written off with the man standing in front of them. Listen, we should talk, Mom said, recovering slightly. It's been so long and we've missed you, Dad finished. Your mother's been worried sick. You disappeared without a word. For years of silence, and this was their opening. No apology. No acknowledgement of what they'd said, what they'd done. Just casual rewriting of history where they were the concerned parents, and I was the ungrateful son who'd vanished. I need to go, I said. Wait, at least give us your number, Nathan said. We should get together, catch up properly. No, thank you. Mom's face crumpled slightly. You can't still be upset about. I'm not upset. I wasn't. That was the truth of it. I'd processed my anger years ago, worked through it in therapy I'd paid for myself. What I felt now was simply nothing. Then why won't you talk to us? Dad's voice had that commanding tone he'd always used. We're family, are we? The question wasn't rhetorical. I genuinely wanted to know what made us family beyond shared DNA. They'd made it clear at that dinner who I was to them. A disappointment, a source of embarrassment, someone who needed to be fixed or managed. I'd become successful despite them, not because of them. Their presence in my life now would add nothing but complication. Of course we are, Mom said. You're our son. We love you. You love the idea of me that exists in your head. The one who needs your approval, who'll fall in line eventually. That's not fair, Nathan interjected. We were hard on you because we wanted you to succeed. I have succeeded, and you weren't there for any of it. The four of them exchanged glances. I could see the calculation happening. Their disappointment had become someone worth knowing. Someone with connections, money, influence. We didn't know how to reach you, Dad said. You blocked us. Yes. That was childish, he said, and there it was, the judgment creeping back in. Running away instead of dealing with problems. I dealt with the problem. The problem was you. Mom gasped slightly. Too harsh, maybe, but also true. Look, we said some things we shouldn't have, Dad continued. But that's what families do. They fight. They say things they don't mean, then they move past it. You didn't say things you didn't mean. You said exactly what you meant. You just didn't expect consequences. So what? You're punishing us? Nathan asked. Making us grovel because you made some money? There it was. The resentment. He'd been the successful one, the one who'd done everything right according to their parents' playbook. Now I'd leapfrogged him without following any of their rules. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm living my life. Without your family, Mom said softly. That's so sad. The manipulation was almost elegant. Make it about my deficiency, my inability to forgive, my coldness, my abandonment of them. Never about what they'd done to earn this distance. Mr. Castellano is waiting, I said. I started to walk away. Dad's hand caught my shoulder. We're not done talking. I looked at his hand, then at his face. Yes, we are. I shrugged off his grip and walked toward the cluster of people where Castellano stood. Behind me, I heard Mom's voice. He's different. Did you see how he looked at us? Like strangers. Because that's what they were now. The gala continued around us, but I felt their eyes on me all night, watching as I moved through circles they'd never had access to, seeing me laugh with people whose names they'd only read in newspapers. I left early, citing an early morning meeting. The next day, flowers arrived at my office. Expensive arrangement, Card signed by my mother. We miss you. Please call. I had my assistant donate them to a nursing home. 2 days later, my father showed up. Security called up from the lobby. There's a Mr. David Harrington here to see you. Says he's your father. I hadn't heard his first name in so long. It sounded foreign. Tell him I'm unavailable. He's insisting, sir. Says it's important. I could have him removed. Should have, probably. But curiosity got the better of me. Send him up. I watched the elevator numbers climb on my monitor. He stepped into my office 5 minutes later, and I saw him take it all in. The view, the furniture, the art on the walls, calculating value with every glance. Nice place, he said. What do you want, Dad? To talk to my son. Talk. He sat without being invited, settling into the chair across from my desk like he belonged there. Your mother's heartbroken. You know that, right? Is she? 4 years without a word. No calls, no visits. You missed holidays, birthdays. You're right. I did. He blinked, thrown off by my agreement. That doesn't bother you? No. He shifted in his seat. Look, I know we were tough on you. Maybe too tough. But you have to understand. We had standards, expectations for our sons. I understand perfectly. I didn't meet them. You were directionless, he said. Wasting your potential. We pushed because we saw what you could be. What you wanted me to be. Is there a difference? Yes. He leaned back, studying me. You've done well. Better than I expected. I'll admit that. The condescension in his praise made my jaw tighten. But success doesn't erase family, he continued. Blood is blood. Blood is genetic coincidence. That's a cold way to look at it. You taught me to be cold. To see the world in terms of value and performance. I'm just applying those lessons. His face hardened. So what? This is revenge. You made something of yourself just to throw it in our faces. I made something of myself because I had no choice. You made sure of that. By being honest about your shortcomings? By making your love conditional on my compliance. He laughed, sharp, dismissive. Everyone's love is conditional. Grow up. I did. That's the problem. He stood abruptly. Your mother wants you at Sunday dinner. This week. No. It's not a request. It's also not happening. His face flushed. You think you're too good for us now? Is that it? I think I'm better off without you. There's a difference. We're your family. You're people I used to know. The words hit him visibly. You've become arrogant, he said. Success has made you cruel. You would know. He stared at me for a long moment, and I saw him realize he had no leverage. No authority here. This wasn't his house, his company, his world. It was mine. You'll regret this, he said finally. I doubt it. He left without another word. I sat in the silence after, waiting to feel something. Guilt. Doubt. Some twinge of regret. Nothing came. Over the next 3 months, they tried everything. Nathan showed up at my gym. My mother accidentally ran into me at a restaurant I frequented. My grandmother sent a letter, handwritten, talking about family legacy and forgiveness. I didn't respond to any of it. Then the email started. Nathan sent long messages about how Dad's health was declining, how stress was killing him, how I was being selfish, guilt tactics, manipulation, the same tools they'd always used. I set up a filter. Everything from their addresses went straight to a folder I never opened. 6 months after the gala, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. You need to come to the hospital. Nathan's voice, tight with stress. Why are you calling me? Dad had a heart attack. Mom's falling apart. You need to be here. No, I don't. Silence on the other end. Then, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm not obligated to show up for people who spent years making me feel worthless. He's your father. Genetically, you're seriously not coming. I'm seriously not coming. He could die. The threat hung there. The implied guilt. If I didn't come, if something happened, it would be my fault somehow. Then I hope he makes peace with whatever he needs to make peace with. But it won't be with me. You're a cold son of a bitch. Learn from the best. I hung up, turned off my phone, went to the gym, worked out for 2 hours, came home, and slept like a stone. Dad survived. I found out 3 weeks later through a business acquaintance who mentioned it casually. Glad your father pulled through. Heart attacks are scary. I nodded, made appropriate noises, changed the subject. People who knew my family situation were few. I kept my personal life separate from business. No one needed to know about the dysfunction I'd left behind. That Sunday, I was at a coffee shop when I saw her. My mother, sitting alone at a corner table. She saw me at the same moment. For a second, I considered leaving. But something made me walk over. Is this coincidence or ambush? She looked tired. Coincidence. I come here sometimes. I didn't sit. Your father almost died, she said quietly. Nathan mentioned. And you couldn't be bothered to visit. No. Her eyes filled. When did you become so heartless? When did you decide I was a disappointment? We never said that. Dad literally toasted to it. At dinner. For years ago. She flinched. He was drunk. He didn't mean. He meant every word. So did you, sitting there laughing. We were frustrated with you. You have to understand. I understand perfectly. I wasn't who you wanted. I didn't fit the mold. So you decided I was defective. That's not true. Then what was it, Mom? What was I supposed to think when my own family treated me like a problem to be solved? She dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. We wanted better for you. You wanted control. There's a difference. So you just cut us out? Completely. Yes. That's cruel. It's self-preservation. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. The son she remembered had needed her approval, had bent himself into shapes trying to earn her love. That person was gone. What would it take? She asked finally. For what? For you to forgive us. To be part of this family again. I considered the question seriously. What would it take? An apology? They'd never apologize, not really. They'd rationalize, minimize, make excuses. Accountability? They'd never see themselves as wrong. In their minds, they'd been tough but loving parents, and I was being oversensitive. Change. People in their 60s don't fundamentally change. Dad would always be controlling, critical. Mom would always enable him. Nathan would always compete. Nothing, I said finally. There's nothing you could do. You can't mean that. I do. Whatever chance existed for us to repair this, it died years ago. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. We're your family. You're people who share my DNA. That's all. I left her sitting there. Didn't look back. 3 more months passed. My company landed a deal worth $23 million. The announcement made local business news. My phone, my work line, rang within an hour. Congratulations on your success. Dad's voice. Formal, stiff. Thank you. I wanted to reach out, acknowledge what you've built. It's impressive. The words sounded like it hurt him. I appreciate that. Silence stretched. Your mother thinks I should apologize, he said finally. Do you think you should? I think I did what I thought was right at the time. Whether you agree or not. There it was. Not an apology. A defense. Okay. Okay. I understand your position. Is there anything else? That's it. That's all you have to say. What do you want me to say, Dad? I don't know. Something. Anything. You're like talking to a wall. You wanted me to be successful, focused, unemotional in business. I am. I'm not business. I'm your father. Are you? The question genuinely confused him. What kind of question is that? You told me family is conditional. Love is transactional. I didn't meet your standards, so you made sure I knew it. Now I've exceeded them, and you want credit for pushing me. That's not what You don't get both. You don't get to tear someone down and then claim you built them up. I made you stronger. No, I made me stronger. Despite you, not because of you. I heard him breathing on the other end. You've become hard, he said. I survived you. That required hard. I'm your father. You're a man who contributed genetic material. That's the extent of it. You don't mean that. I do. And the sooner you accept it, the easier this will be. Easier? There's nothing easy about losing a son. You lost me 4 years ago. You just didn't notice because I wasn't valuable to you then. The line went dead. He'd hung up. I set the phone down, turned back to my computer, and continued working. That conversation was the last direct contact. Over the next year, I heard through mutual acquaintances that my father told people I'd changed, become money-obsessed, and forgot where I came from. The narrative was predictable. I was the ungrateful son. They were the victims of my success-induced arrogance. I didn't correct anyone. Let them think what they wanted. The truth was simpler and less dramatic. I'd removed toxic people from my life. They happened to be related to me. That was all. My company continued growing. I hired talented people, mentored young analysts the way Vincent had mentored me, created the environment I'd needed and never had, built something sustainable, ethical, profitable. On my 28th birthday, I sat in my penthouse with a glass of scotch, looking out at the city lights. No family called. No awkward dinner where criticism masqueraded as love. Just quiet. Peace. I thought about that dinner 4 years ago. The toast that changed everything. If my father hadn't made it, would I have stayed? Kept trying to earn their approval, shrinking myself to fit their expectations? Probably. So in a way, his cruelty was the best thing that ever happened to me. It cut me loose. Forced me to build a life based on my own values, my own definition of success. The version of me that sat in their dining room, desperate for scraps of validation, was pathetic. I'd outgrown him. Outgrown them. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "This is Nathan. Dad's in the hospital again. Worse this time. Mom's asking for you." I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it, blocked the number, turned off my phone. Tomorrow, I had a meeting with investors in Tokyo. Next week, a property deal in Singapore. My life was full, rich with purpose, relationships I'd chosen, goals that mattered to me. There was no room in it for people who'd spent years making me feel small. Not anymore. Not ever again. The city glittered below, indifferent and beautiful. I raised my glass to the skyline. "To disappointments," I said quietly. "May they exceed everyone's expectations but their own." The scotch burned going down. Perfect. I set the glass aside and opened my laptop. Work was waiting. So was the rest of my life. And none of it included them. That was exactly how I wanted it.